Yeah, that's still pretty bad. Kevin, how are you? Just so you know, I did reach out to the T-shirt printer today, earlier this morning, trying to get an ETA on when those shirts are due. I didn't hear back from them yet, but I'll definitely keep you posted on that, and we'll get them to you as quickly as we can. I always get excited to get people their membership badges, which
Thank you, sir.
You're quite welcome.
As I stated earlier in my messenger message, I talked to Scott Mann, who's the disc jockey here in town, and he's friends with Trent Chambers, real close personal friends. He told me to talk to him.
Yes, I'm friends with him on Facebook, but that doesn't mean we've ever communicated. I think he may have liked a post here and there, but I don't see him as a page follower on our page. I do know he likes heavier metal music than I'm used to. I'm old. I'm kind of the 70s genre stuff before a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I was looking at his page earlier after you had mentioned him today, trying to think what would I, initially would I want to talk to him about or ask him. And one thing we really could use here at NORML is a legal advisor or a director on our board or something like that would sort of make sure that we're going in the right direction, the right direction, and not crossing any wires as we move forward with stuff. Another thing you may want to ask him too is see if he might be interested in coming on to one of our cannabis conversations one night. I had asked Johnny McCoy, who's a lawyer up there in Myrtle Beach. He's kind of had been at least trying to initiate some decriminalization at the city level there. I haven't really heard much more activity about from him on that. But where was I going with this?
No, I'll definitely talk to Trent tomorrow. I'm supposed to talk to him about 2:30. He said he'd call me, and I'll definitely run by what you've got going on and a few ideas that I have as well.
Yeah.
As far as the Veterans Affairs stuff, I want to try and get the veterans in a good space as well.
Well, and that's one thing we don't necessarily have here in South Carolina is a dedicated Veterans for Cannabis group, at least not that I'm aware of. There's groups of veterans that are, supporting, but there's not like.
There's a Veterans Cannabis Coalition whom I work for Palmetto Harmony CBD, and
Okay.
the owners actually had started a Veterans Coalition for legalization of cannabis here in South Carolina. They actually go to all the House sessions and stuff like that and advocate for us there.
As a coalition, are they actually set up as a nonprofit, or are they just sort of a group of people that? Sometimes the phrasings confuse me, and really the only reason to be a nonprofit is if you do fundraising, which I can't afford to, even do some of the things that we're doing here, pay for the website and our Zoom calls and stuff like that. So we have to, beg for donations here. But
Right.
some folks, if they've got a backing of a good sponsor like a hemp growing operation and manufacturer, they may not need to actually do the nonprofit type stuff.
I'm not certain if they are a not-for-profit group or not, but when we get off of here, I'll try and find their page and I'll send it to you.
I was going to say, yeah, if you can find their contact page for me, because I'm not aware of a formal group, but if there is a formalized coalition, and this is the group that did the press conference a few months back and got a lot of publicity with us. I sat in on that. It was a Zoom press conference.
Is that the one that had Montel Williams on it?
Correct. That's the one.
Yes, that's my boss. David Newsom is my boss.
Yes. We had invited David a while back to talk on our cannabis conversation calls. Haven't heard back from him in a long time, so I don't know. He's
He is a
probably busy with a lot of other stuff.
Yes, he
Um,
is. Plus, his daughter is the namesake of the company, Harmony CBD.
correct. Yeah.
She has smooth brain syndrome, so he has to deal with that a lot too.
Yeah. I met Janelle a number of years ago when I first moved here to South Carolina and founded the NORML group. And so
Gotcha.
I'm at least somewhat familiar. Um, but all right, what time we at? 7:03. Hi, Kristen. Oh, I see Joey's here. I didn't admit him. Let me get
I'll tell
that
you what,
in.
man. I'm gonna hop off of here, and then we'll talk later.
Okay, I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you, Kevin. Talk soon.
Same here. Nice meeting you.
So long. All right, what am I doing here? I need to open up my little document so we can kind of get things rolling. Thank you all for joining me. Um, got a little sidetracked with a conversation. There we go. All right, let me just kind of make sure I have things where I need to see them. All right, we're at 7:04. Sorry for the little bit of a delayed start here. We usually start at 7:02 as often as I can in my retentiveness. Well, I want to thank everybody who is joining me here tonight. All of our meetings are an environment of education and awareness and not an open market for the sale, purchase, or distribution of cannabis. We do not encourage or condone illegal behavior of any kind. Again, welcome. Thank you for joining me, all of our live viewers here on Zoom, anybody who may be watching live on our live stream on YouTube, and hello to anybody who's watching as a recording later. With that YouTube comment, please keep in mind we are not monitoring comments on YouTube. So if you do have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below in the comment section and we will try and address them as soon as we can. All right, let me go ahead and close that up. And I do want to sort of start by, boy, it's been a while since I've done one of these type of apologies. Thank you, but sorry for not being really well prepared tonight. I'm on kind of day 6 of another bout of my stomach illnesses. As a matter of fact, I was at a doctor yesterday who sent me home because I was too sick to be out of the house, uh, and he has now referred me to another doctor. So hopefully I'll be visiting them and who knows? It's been a battle I've been fighting for a long time. But anyway, when I get this way, I get a little brain foggy. I don't think clearly. I don't get a whole lot of anything done many a times. So I'm glad at least that I'm feeling well enough that we could keep the call tonight and that we could have some conversations on marijuana, South Carolina. Federally as well, if we need to, but that's not tonight's discussion, and how we're going to move forward. And the focus has been on decriminalization lately. Um, excuse me. Um, the past couple of weeks, I have been pushing the local initiative guide that we had created for us by the folks at the Sensible Movement Coalition out in Ohio. I checked with them the other day after. Oops, I had a warning there telling me I was muted. Created out of Ohio by the folks at the Sensible Movement Coalition. I checked on their websites after last week's conversation because I was curious where they were with decriminalizing in Ohio. And they are now at 22 municipalities as of last week, with a few more on the block. If you visit Sensible Coalition or Sensible Movement Coalition on Facebook, they've been pretty active there. And then they tend to create individual pages for each town as they're moving forward. We have some here for South Carolina, but they're haven't been majorly focused on. We may bring them back to life as we move forward with these things because it seems to be working for them, in Ohio. They're at least further ahead than we are here. My apologies to any pure blood South Carolinians who say, oh, well, Ohio can stay in Ohio. Apparently, a lot of people from up north, as myself, are moving down south. And some of us are creating ruckuses trying to change things like marijuana laws. So With that said, I've been pushing this local initiative guide. Has been links shared to it in most of our updates. Um, I don't have it in front of me here. If you want me to post it again, just leave me a comment, a comment here in the comment section in the chat, and I'll quick go track it down. Um, what I wanted to concentrate a little bit on tonight from the initiative guide is focusing in on the um, volunteers, how to gather volunteers, how to team build in local communities throughout South Carolina, and what can NORML here in South Carolina do to help. Um, as I've, if you've sat in on our other conversations, and I know a few of you have, it's challenging for one person. This is a definite volunteer driven activity. And so one of the things that we've done is we're trying to get a better handle on, I want to put a comment here. Oh, geez, I just did that wrong anyway. I typed that in the wrong space. Volunteer link. And now let me copy the right link in there. Okay. The folks up in Ohio have created a new form for us, which, for my sake, uh, feeds all the information into a spreadsheet, because we don't have a real good tracking system for our volunteers at this point. We are going to kind of shift to the spreadsheet form. It's going to be able to give me a little bit of information on each volunteer, where they think they can fit, what some of their skills are, and their contact information, and why they want to be involved. One of the big things or important things for this too, being into a spreadsheet, we can sort of then filter things down and look at who's in similar areas, close areas. We haven't had a whole lot of respondents yet, so we will be trying to pass this around, and starting to work on it. With that said, and I say that a whole lot, we are looking for a volunteer coordinator, as at our state level. Um, and as you all start to coordinate in your own areas, for petition drives, you may want to look for a volunteer coordinator locally. Um, our hope is that our form here can help you keep them organized. And that way we can, have everybody file into the same list. We can then filter out the ones that are specific to your area and provide those to you. And get some of our volunteer efforts in different areas built that way. Um, if anybody has any other information on how to do that, or if anybody's interested in working with us as a volunteer coordinator, to sort of oversee this stuff, that would be much appreciated. Me and my hats, I'm starting to, like I say, first off, not feeling great, walking around half the time foggy minded, and if I'm walking at all, um, and trying to keep up, as I've been starting to tread water a little bit here, trying to keep up. And that's only because we are starting to plan an event, which is, damn, almost 2 months away now, on July 10th, our South Carolina NORML Cannabis Convocation, mini trade show and convention and trade show. We'll give you again a little bit more information on that coming up soon. And that's also, we will be focusing on that at that event, on our decriminalization effort, on the initiative guide, and on that type of information, the harms that come from cannabis arrest, especially the long lingering consequences that people have to face. Um, matter of fact, I just had to refer someone the other day, to the ACLU of South Carolina, only because we don't have legal uh, resources here. But a young lady tested positive for cannabis because she takes a full spectrum CBD product. She says she bought it at one of the local, stores here in the Charleston area. Matter of fact, I've driven by the store, big sign out front. Um, and now they're filing child cruelty or child abuse charges on her, I believe, or something along those lines. Child endangerment. No, this isn't the one that was pregnant. Hang on, that was, but they are filing charges on her. Um, the freaking CBD testing is THC drives me crazy. Anyway, um, that and many other cool consequences come, and that's why we're doing what we're doing. So, like I said, what can we do is help you get organized. That is one of the biggest things that we're going to have to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Vet different areas to make sure that each group is building a team, so that the effort of drafting up the petitions isn't just like, um, for one person who says, "Oh yeah, I can do this," and then we find out that there's just not a good, strong team, because that is a really important part of this. So that's one way that we think we can help. I'm always open to advice and suggestions. Um, Also, I started to look into doing some advertising again on our Facebook, and because we're a nonprofit, we have to jump through some extra freaking hoops for verification and a political speech because we talk about a political hot topic. So they're a little pain sometimes. And you have to put in disclaimers, and actually we can't put in an actual normal disclaimer because we don't have an email address that matches our domain name. Freaking stupid rules. Anyway, that's my ramble on that for a moment. There is our volunteer form. I am going to real quick go and share the form with you. Let's see if I can share it without. There we go. No, I want to hide this first. There we go. Okay, so this is the form that'll be sent out for our volunteers. Real clear, volunteer for South Carolina NORML. This is such an exciting time for all of us in South Carolina. Big chances are coming, changes are coming, and we're all on the front lines of the movement. And this type of action, it takes the citizens to do. This is not something our legislators get involved in, except maybe trying to shut us down. You're the most important part of the war for freedom. Coming together as one great team is a huge step in the right direction. It will take all of us to achieve success. And when I say all of us, I really mean all of us, because I've heard so many stories over the past 5 years of doing this here in South Carolina of South Carolinians who wanted legal access and safe access to cannabis. So they just moved. And I hear a number of them complaining they want us to change the laws so they can move home again. Um, so anyway, form starts everything as most, starting with an email address. I'm not sure why they designed it quite this way, but it asks for two. I think what it is there's a switch in here that on the back end of it that we can set collecting emails or not. So this is the one that just collects the emails. Goes through a little infographic on the front, and then comes down, just basically asks for people's name, their cell phone number, so we can usually contact them by text instead of phone calls. Excuse me, about somebody in here. Um, we had on our form the email address, so it is a little redundant. And we are asking for mailing addresses. The primary reason we're asking for mailing addresses is so we know where folks are from in the state. Um, I'll say it again. 5 years ago, moved to Charleston. Wherever I live, I think everybody else lives there, and I know some of you are not here in the Charleston area, and at least not pinpointed. And a lot of our followers are throughout the state. I'll get into that in just a couple of moments. The next part of the form does come down, and it just asks some basic information on folks and what their skills are, or what they feel their strong points are. As it says, most of the work is done in petitioning for the decriminalization process, but there's also other things that need to be done. Nope, lost somebody there. Always working on new projects, so you might fit in. And again, here at South Carolina NORML, we are doing more than just the decriminalization petitions. Where we work on a lot of other aspects of it, um, and many of these things can come in handy. You have accounting, activism, event planning, fundraising, general duty volunteers, grant writing. I know nothing about that. Graphics, IT leadership, and you see as you go along. I guess if you click other, it might give you a little fill-in box. I don't know what I just did there. No, I think it thought I was trying to change something. Um, it asked if you have any ideas on how they'd like to help, and then is there anything you'd like to tell us about you and why you want to be part of it? And that is the form. There's really not a whole lot more to it. Um, let's see if I can get that to refresh that top section there. There we go. And then, of course, it gives us some responses that we can that feed on over into our spreadsheet. I'm going to stop this here sharing for a moment. And as I was going through, and I mentioned why it asked for people's mailing addresses, and not so much mailing address, the physical address. But hey, if they like on Folly, most everybody has to have a PO box for mail. I guess as long as the primary thing we're looking for is zip codes, just so we know where general locality where folks are. Um, and that's going to be important as we move forward as well, because I was on a phone call. Geez, I want to say last Thursday, um, with some folks in the upstate, and they are looking to. Actually, they have started an upstate NORML. Um, and and since we've become the state chapter, uh, nationals sort of asked us to follow the model that they're using in some of the other states like Virginia, where the satellite chapters, the regional chapters, fly under our nonprofit flag. The only variation I would see in there is if one of them wanted to file as a 501c3 to be able to accept larger donations and be able to give folks the tax credit. Um, Whereas a 501c4, we're a political active group, um, and so the taxes aren't necessarily, in most cases, I don't believe tax deductible. Um, uh, but that's where like national, they have the NORML Foundation, and then they have NORML. And the NORML Foundation's their 501c3 educational branch, and NORML is their um, 501c4 more politically active branch. And so the 501c3 can grant funds to the 501c4, and that's where grant writing comes in. Um, that's why I kind of highlighted and talked on that. Oh, other things in here, working with politicians, secretarial, social media, all that kind of stuff is just information that's going to be helpful for us to start setting up these other locations. So that was one. I mentioned Upstate NORML. If you go to their Facebook page, I'm going to quick go visit it to check it. And you'll see they now have the South Carolina NORML displayed, logo displayed as their profile picture. Um, and my understanding after our conversation last week is they Now, this is interesting because they've already filed their 501c4 about a year ago and got their approval and things like that. There's some good monies involved in doing that. But people that I spoke to on the phone the other day said that they had no problem sort of aligning under our flag. Um, and it just sort of, I'm not sure if there is a point for them then to keep their 501c4 active. It really wouldn't. It wouldn't, and it would save them a lot of work because unless they have somebody on their board that's already doing their financial filings for them, that's just duplication of effort. We can do those financial filings for the state and the federal um, under our flag, and it's pretty easy until the organization starts bringing in not even that big of a chunk of change, but $50,000 or more a year. Uh, That is Upstate Normal. I'm going to real quick look at their page. They're not overly active. They go a little sporadic. They do have some good information on when the Senate bill was coming up, the Compassionate Care Act, back in early April, right before the April 6th vote out of committee. And then, or was that the floor vote on the 6th? And then they do have some posts about Senator Greg Humphrey putting the block on it. Um, and I see two other posts back in April. But again, we're looking to maybe consolidate our resources and that type of stuff to keep you all better informed. The other comment I would want to make about that is I also received an email today. Actually, let me go look here about a half an hour before our meeting started um, that had contacted National, and they are up in Horry County, looks like. They want to start a Myrtle Beach chapter. So, of course, the information was forwarded to me, and I will be reaching out to them and see what we can do to help. That's again where I think a lot of our volunteer coordination is going to really come in handy because we're going to be starting to get people from other parts of the state that want to get involved. There had originally been, well, I don't want to say originally, I know there was at least one um, attempt at a Myrtle Beach chapter NORML. Um, Many of you know that Columbia NORML was there for a while, and I think there's some people in the area that sort of want to bring back a chapter in that community. I know some folks in Aiken had started too, but never, again, finished the financial filings with the IRS and the state. And that's where a lot of us, I think, get bogged down. I know I did. I, I, I got really screwed up because I tried to get us as a 501c3, and the IRS is going, "Oh no, I'm looking at your Facebook page and your website here, and you're way too politically vocal." I'm like, "We're not. I'm just sharing stuff from Normal or other places. Uh, we don't actually sponsor any politicians or anything like that, though we are possibly looking to do so moving forward. If you know of any candidates running in South Carolina that are pro cannabis reform, um, we'd definitely be willing to talk to them and see what we can do to throw support behind them. Uh, Quite often, politicians, especially here in South Carolina, may not necessarily want the support of a cannabis activist group. Um, but we'll play that as it comes. So those are two options coming up in the hopefully not too distant future that we can get some folks in these communities getting active and forming their own chapters of our um, organization, joining us here on our Wednesday calls and that type of thing. Um, so those are kind of the two things that we're really trying to do: our volunteer form and our organization with trying to develop some new chapters throughout the state. Um, I think the last thing I do want to sort of bring up on that local organization, and I have mentioned it briefly before, community size is important on how much effort and costs aren't astronomical on these things, especially if you get people coming and signing your petitions. It's a good way to, be there with your donation bucket at the same time to help comp costs. But here's a good example, and I don't know if you all can see this, but this is half inch or so thick, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, I'll call that a half inch. 8.5 by 11. I don't know if you can see how small that print is on there, but it's not real big. Um, this printout cost us about 75 bucks, if I remember correctly. Back and it's about a year and a half old now. We never really got to implement it as well as we wanted to, but this is all of the registered voters at that time that were residents of or are residents of the city of Folly Beach. Um, we'll have to start looking into individual communities as we move forward and folks want to organize in those communities on how big of a list we have because the cost goes up the more people on the list. And the larger cities like city of Charleston, it's been a while since I looked at the numbers. I think for somewhere around 1,500 bucks, we can buy the whole list digital as a digital file so that we can print out our own groupings of them. Because the list of registered voters in South Carolina, in Charleston, is I'm going to say roughly 100,000 or so registered voters, 100,000 people. Um, Again, that's a rough guesstimate because I have not checked with the Board of Voter Registration on that here in the county, and that's something that is done at county level. So when folks are interested in moving forward in their counties or their towns, and I would recommend doing these petitions at the municipal town level, city level, county level. Just to me seems to be at least in Charleston County um, a big chunk of pie to do. It might be different in some of the other counties, especially in the more rural counties where you have a large expansive area, but not a whole lot of people um, to do it that way. But I still think it's easier to do it town by town because if you have a town and it passes an ordinance, it's just going to sort of build a little momentum for the next town over and the next town over. Um, and I'm kind of stuck in that cycle. If some of you know something of other counties that might work better in another type of um, 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 by doing it county level, definitely let me know. All right, I'm not going to ramble to you anymore. Like I said, I'm a little foggy, and so I'm not sure how clear I've been on a lot of what I've talked about tonight. Um, Hopefully, I haven't been too delirious with my conversation. Um, Any comments from anybody? Any input you'd like to share with me? Your thoughts on moving forward statewide with decriminalization? And why can't I see my? I'm not sharing anymore, am I? No. Oh well, I lost one of my. Ah, there it is. Too many monitors, too many screens. Well then, if there's nothing else to really discuss tonight, all I'm going to do is request that you keep an eye out. I'm really trying to get focused in the next couple of days so I can get this information about the South Carolina Cannabis Convocation coming up in July 10th in Columbia nailed down. Um, a lot of people have been asking. We have just in the past day or so sent out a request to a number of nonprofits to gauge their participation interest. These nonprofits are again going to be pretty much community oriented organizations who have to deal with um, or whose clients have to deal with um, issues concerning having a past marijuana arrest on their record and challenges in either getting, you know, housing, education, their children, all that kind of different stuff. I'm not sure how easy it's going to be to find non-governmental agencies that try and deal with that stuff, because it just seems that those kind of things are more the um, government-funded agencies that are going to try and demonize people for it. Than the organizations that are actually trying to help them get around it. Expungement's another thing. That's a governmental process, and I'm not sure if there's any organizations in Columbia or in South Carolina that are not governmentally affiliated that focus on helping folks with expungement. If you do know of any, please get back to me with that, because that would definitely be organizations that are important in this particular fight. Is cleaning up people's records so they don't have this black mark. Oh, I used to hate that. Actually, I was always, we're going to make an example of you. And mind you, I've never been arrested for any cannabis or anything really. That was always in school. I was a bad boy in school, um, and I was always being made an example of. I don't think it helped, because a lot of the people that knew me just kind of followed along behind. That's all I have for you tonight, folks. I'm sorry I'm kind of burning out already. I will see you back here again next Wednesday at 7 o'clock for the South Carolina Cannabis Conversation. As always, keep an eye out on our Facebook page. We're probably a little bit more active there than we are on our other social media pages. If you know anybody that's interested in volunteering, please share the volunteer link for them or have them contact us. We are looking for a new board member as far as our secretary, who will be primarily in charge of membership and member benefit type stuff. Uh, uh, our other social media, of course, we are on Instagram and Twitter. Big thing is make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel in case you miss any of our conversations and for some reason want to listen to me. Go and sign up there. And last but not least, did I put it out there? I shared it earlier today. Sign up for our newsletter. I'm going to real quick drop the link here in the chat, or a link. I don't think it's the right one. Oh, actually, I'm going to open it first before it gives me this huge, long Facebook Plus web address. All right. That is the sign up form for our newsletter. If you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, please sign up. Um, Actually, I think everybody on here is already on there. And I'm going to call it a night. Thank you for joining me. I need to go and sit down and rest my weary bones. We will be keeping an eye out for you on social media, and look for us next Wednesday. Bye bye now. Thank you.